Yo, what's up, Hobo Mackie here. So I made it to Colorado Springs, Colorado, last night. It took me 3 days total to get from Kansas City, Missouri to Colorado Springs, Colorado. Um, First day, I didn't do really any hitchhiking. It was mostly taking all the city buses to Lawrence, Kansas, because it's hard to hitchhike out of a city usually. So you want to try to get to the outskirts of the city before you hitchhike. And Lawrence, Kansas is actually like a hippie town in Kansas. It's where the Kansas University's at, that kind of thing. Um, by the way, drinking some Old E. Been a long time since I've tried this stuff, but it was the only cheap beer they had right here where I'm at. I'm in Manitou Springs, Colorado, which is right next to Colorado Springs. And everything's kind of expensive here, by the way. It's kind of like a tourist town right here. Beautiful place. But, so, yeah, hippie town. Took all the city buses right to actually the University of Kansas. And then from the University of Kansas, I walked all the way to a truck stop, which is about a 3.5 hour walk. I didn't do any hitchhiking because I just wanted to walk. And but although I didn't have my thumb out. At the end, the guy stopped and offered me a ride to wherever I was going, just because he was curious about me. He just thought I was unique. In Kansas, you don't find a whole lot of people like me, I guess, hobos walking around in the middle of nowhere. And so he gave me a ride, gave me a beer. He was cool, and he threw me $20 at the end and dropped me off right at the truck stop. So God bless him, man. He's an awesome guy. He's definitely a religious man, and but he was cool. He's drinking a beer and hardcore Christian, and he's found his Christianity has given him like his purpose and makes him whole, and gives him that structure for his life, and I think that's awesome. And he was not judgmental of me because I wasn't Christian, but he was trying to spread his word a little bit. Missed a little bit there. So got to the truck stop, and it was kind of late, and I decided I wasn't going to hitch or anything. So I went to McDonald's. There's McDonald's at the truck stop. Hung out there, and then slept right basically at the truck stop. Just found like a little grassy spot and slept. And then in the morning, I got up, went to McDonald's, got my coffee, and then went and just sat down on the curb right by the exit going west on I-70, and sat there with my thumb. And really, like, the third car came, and it was a lady in the Army, and she took me. She was going all the way to Junction City, which I should have took that ride probably, but I just asked her to drop me off at the truck stop right before Topeka, just because on the internet I heard that those two truck stops were good hitchhiking spots, and they said you want to try to find a ride all the way through Kansas. So I got to that next truck stop, hitched there for a while, nothing happened. I seen like a law enforcement guy, just sitting there to the right. So I decided, well, I better went into the truck stop for a minute, and then I came back out, and he was gone. And then so I kept on hitching. I just didn't, I don't know about the law enforcement. I don't want to sit there and hitch right in front of them usually. And then I was hitching, and I seen a law enforcement coming on the east ramp of the interstate, and then turned right toward me and was coming right at me. And I thought, oh, for sure, he's coming to get me or whatever, talk to me or something. And then he U-I'd right and went all the way to the west side of the exit. And I was like, okay, he was just doing a U-I. A state trooper just doing a U-I on the exit. And I was like, okay, I guess they don't care. I'm obviously hitchhiking here. And then another state trooper, it might have been the same guy, I'm not sure, did the exact same thing and U-I'd and went, and I put my, when I seen him, I put my thumb down, and then when he got past me, I went ahead and just stuck my thumb back out, and then he pulled off, and then backed all the way up, and then ran my ID. He was super friendly. He said I had 2 options, which I'm pretty sure, you know, I don't think he was being legal. You know, I think he didn't want me there, and I don't think it was. I think I had full legal right to be there at a private truck stop in a parking lot, but he was super nice about it, and I'm not going to argue. I'm just not, especially when I'm not a lawyer and I don't know all the laws. So my first option was to go to a homeless shelter in Topeka. Nope. And he said the second option was to go to Highway 24, and I can keep on going down Highway 24. And I didn't know anything about it, so I was really I just went ahead and took the Highway 24. And so he asked me if I had any weapons. I said I had a knife in my pocket, and I gave it to him. He never searched me or nothing, and he held onto my knife, and we talked, just chit-chatted the whole way. Nice, friendly conversation, real nice guy. You know, telling me this and that, and the Kansas River's flooded, had a lot of rain, you know, all the kind of small talk, and dropping me off in a decent spot on Highway 24 and said, hey, Colorado's that way, you know. And so just started walking down Highway 24 and hitching, and it was really tough at that spot. So that's around Topeka. It was really tough. Nobody was picking me up, and so eventually, one guy gave me a quick ride down to the next town. It was only like a mile ride, and then I kept walking, and then eventually somebody got me, and they took me a good distance all the way to Manhattan, Kansas. And being in Manhattan, a nice town, I was like, and it's kind of getting late in the day, and it was a Tuesday, and I usually talk to my family on Tuesdays on Skype, and just decided I'm in a good place, a good town, just gonna chill the rest of the day there. So that was day 2. So day 3, you know, that night, by the way, it stormed really bad in Manhattan, Kansas, and it was like, at first the weather said no storm was coming. At first it said there was a storm coming, and then the weather changed, said there's no storm coming, and then so I was like out in the open, just gonna lay down and go to sleep, and there's just lightning everywhere, all around, just heat lightning and lightning bolts, and I'm like, well, I better go seek some shelter, and I found these big concrete tubes, and you could tell other hobos have been in them before. There was a lot of old clothes and stuff, and it was kind of dirty and nasty and kind of muddy inside on the ground, and I didn't really want to be in there, but you know, it was storming. The wind was like whipping. I thought there might be a tornado coming. It was getting bad. So I got into the oh, hey, what's up, buddy? What's going on? Sorry, doing a YouTube video.
Oh, nice.
And is that your camp over there?
No.
Okay, you're just walking through?
Yeah.
Okay, just curious.
Enjoy your day.
You too, buddy. So it was whipping and storming, and so I got into the concrete tube, and I kind of just sat in there because the rain was coming through the tube. I mean, it was, and I was trying to stay dry. I knew I didn't have much gear with me, and I needed to try to stay dry. And the storm didn't last very long, and it stopped. And so I slept in the tube that night, and woke up, and there was like a kind of a possum that big. At first I thought it was a big rat because they got that long tail, and it wasn't a full-grown possum. And so it was kind of freaky, and I was like, I heard this little possum in the middle of the night walking around, and I hear critters all the time when I'm sleeping out like this, you know. But I just kind of go with it. I never had an issue. Wildlife, they might come up and sniff me, and then they will go away or something. I don't know. But I got the hell out of there, and actually I took a city bus to the outskirts of Manhattan and started walking and hitchhiking slowly. Picked up a ride right off the bat. He took me a good ways. Picked up another ride right off the bat. And so actually I was just kind of catching rides pretty well all day. And this is the heart of Kansas, and You know, it worked out pretty well. A lot of good people picked me up. There was a guy, spent 35 years in the military, old guy. He might have been 90 years old. I'm not sure. It must have been a smoker because he had one of these things where he had to put it up to his throat and he talked like this, you know. And but me and him, I never asked him about it or nothing. I just treated him like a normal person, and we had a good, great conversation. We talked about all sorts of things, and you know, he dropped me off in a spot. Another guy picked me up, and he took me to where he lives, which is like this state park out in Kansas, right around Beloit, Kansas. There's this lake called Glen something Lake, and so you know what? It was a nice lake, nice state park. Sorry, I haven't smoked any weed today. Well, I just smoked some weed today, but I just got some dispensary weed here from right across the street over here. Really, the only recreational dispensary around here. This is Mango Kush. This stuff looks like fire. It was expensive as fuck, but yeah, I kind of got ripped off in a way because it's kind of a tourist town. And I was hoping it was going to zoom in on it so you could see it, but nice stuff. Smells great. Oh man, that's the best weed I've smelt in a long time, since last summer actually. Wow, it's good. It was expensive though. It was $17 a gram, and so I just got a gram of it. And I'm low on money, so their cheapest pipe they sold was $10. So I just decided to go ahead and buy a couple of these for $3.50, and this is going to be my pipe here. So you know, anybody who knows how to make a tinfoil pipe, it's not complicated. Just bend it in. Then you got to poke a little hole. This is my nice Mora knife, made in Sweden. Got a carbon steel blade. It's got a little patina on it. It's a very nice little cheap knife. You can get them for like $15-20 on Amazon, and it's very high quality. All right, and I will be doing a gear overview here soon. I need to hurry up because I'm running out of storage space on my thing. So just poke a little hole in the can here, poke one on the side for a carb. All right, boom, good enough. So this video might go to shit after I smoke this weed. We don't know yet. Well, we will see. But I am excited to try it. So yeah, took me to a beautiful state park. He lived at that state park on that lake. He said there's walleye there, catfish, white bass, crappie, and it had like primitive camping there, and just a cool little lake in the middle of Kansas. Beautiful. And I almost decided just to stay there and camp there for the night and maybe do some hobo fishing and stuff like that. But I just had the itch to keep on hitching. So I went out to the road and kept on hitching, and just right off the bat, this a trucker, not in his truck, but a private vehicle. He's a trucker by trade. Picked me up, kind of a big, hefty guy, real friendly and funny. He told me how he met his wife. You know, he was sitting there drinking some beers, and she came along, and he's like, "Hey, you know, you want to drink some beers with me or whatever?" And I'm not telling the story 100%. And they drank for like 4 or 5 hours and had a good time. Then he said he pulled down his pants and said, "Do you want to be with me?" And he said they've been together ever since. And I was like, okay, fabulous love story there. But he got me to Downs, Kansas. And kept on hitching. And then this car went past me, and I seen a car come back this way, and then turned around and stopped. But I wasn't sure if they were stopping to pick me up, so I kind of walked up slowly. I didn't want to run up to them, like I was sure that they're picking me up as a hitchhiker. But I seen when I was walking up, he had Colorado plates, and I was like, "Oh, please God, please God!" And I kind of walked to the side and looked at him. He's like, "Get on in." And so his name was Tony, and he's from Colorado Springs, Colorado. And me and him rode together the whole way. He's a crazy person. This guy's a crazy person, Tony. He's I don't know what kind of drugs he does and stuff. It's not my business, but that day he had gotten tackled by the police because of his vehicle that I was riding in was reported as stolen. So apparently he's borrowing the vehicle from somebody, and they're pissed off at him for some reason, and they reported it stolen. And then now he's getting tackled by the police, and he has to get it all sorted out, and he gets that person to admit that they had loaned him the vehicle, which they eventually admit, even though they're mad at him. And so then he's free and clear, and the whole thing's taken care of. And so he's the guy that picked me up, and he asked me if I had any weed, and I was like, no. And he's like, yeah, I had to throw all mine out because the cops were coming after me. And this is in Kansas. You don't want to get caught with weed in Kansas. So this guy's just like, I gotta have weed. I think that's why he picked me up, really. He was probably hoping I had weed. And I did have some weed at the beginning of my trip. I had 3 joints. And I smoked them. Because I wanted to get them smoked before I started hitching. Because I don't get caught with weed in Kansas. And he said he's been to prison multiple times, in jail, and all this. And he, it was a long ride from Downs, Kansas, all the way to Colorado Springs. Me and him rode together the whole time. Sometimes we just sat there quietly, and he smoked cigarettes, which I decided to go ahead and get a pack of cigarettes. So me and him both smoked cigarettes the whole way, and we tried finding weed right when we got into Colorado. We got to Burlington, Colorado, and I was like, there's probably no dispensaries here, man. And he's like, he was fiending for weed. He needed it bad. I didn't need it. I was fine, but we went to the convenience store, and he asked the guy there, and he said the closest place is Colorado Springs or Denver to get weed. And he's like, or the black market. And he's like, where's the black market? And he's like, convenience store guy wouldn't tell him, or probably doesn't know, maybe. Or so we went to McDonald's. He was hungry, and in front of us were these 2 kids in a car. He's like yelling out the window, "Hey, y'all smoke weed?" And they pulled up, and then we after we got out through the drive-through, we pulled to the side of them, and they were like, "Yeah, we smoke weed." And but they're like, we don't have any, and they won't know where to get any. So we were kind of shit out of luck, and we basically ended up having to go all the way to Colorado Springs with no weed. Then he drops me off. Like 18 minutes. I have like 14 minutes left possible footage. All right, so he's gonna go get weed from his buddy. And so, there's a McDonald's right there. So he drops me off at the McDonald's and says, "I will bring you some weed as soon as after I get it." And my thing is the exact same thing happened to me in Springfield, Missouri. Some guy picked me up, took me into Springfield, Missouri, and I didn't even care. I didn't even want weed that bad, but he was like, "I'll give you some weed." And I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll take some weed." He's like, "Well, go to McDonald's and wait for me, and then I'm gonna come and bring you the weed. I will be there in a few minutes." Well, okay. And I walked there to McDonald's. He never showed up. I'm like, yeah, what a douchebag. I'm happy you gave me a ride. thank you for the ride. I didn't even need the weed. I don't care about that. And sorry, I'm losing train of thought. Yeah, and so this is like the exact same situation. He's like, go to McDonald's and I will be there in a minute. And I'm like thinking, oh sure, I've heard this before, and it was like literally like 2 or 3 weeks ago this happened. And so 15 minutes goes by, and it's like getting close to 9 o'clock, and there's a dispensary that's about to close, and I can get there before they close according to the maps. So I decided to say screw them. I'm not going to trust them because I could wait for him, and then the dispensary's going to be closed, and then I'm going to be no weed that night. So I was like, I'm going to take the short bet, go to the dispensary. I don't feel like I'm hurting him by not taking his weed. So I walked down to the dispensary. Turns out there aren't any recreational dispensaries in Colorado Springs, which just blows my mind. That weed's been legal in Colorado this long. In Colorado Springs, there's no recreational dispensaries. And they said they were closed anyway. Even Google said there's 9 o'clock, but he was like, it's 8:50. So whatever. And then I said, well, I better go ahead and shoot back to the McDonald's, and then maybe homeboy will show back up. And so he did. Well, so I start talking to this other kid because I'm like, hey man, you know where I can get some weed? Because this is Colorado, you know, you can be right out in the open with it. And he's like, excuse me? No, I don't smoke weed, you know. And he turned out to be a character. He's got like autism and like anxiety, and he struck up a conversation with me. And it was like, well, I've been thinking about trying CBD and blah, blah, blah. And he turns out he's queer. He's like homosexual. And I think he was hitting on me or something. You know, he was like getting like crossing his like leg and like looking at me weird. I mean, maybe I'm taking false signals here. But I was like, hey, nice to meet you, bro. He's like, I got one more question. Forget what he asked me. Something. And then I was like, okay. Not that I have a problem, no problem, you know, and but really I was just like, I got the weed, or actually my boy showed up with the weed, with a little bit of shaky, shitty weed. It was shaky and shitty, and I actually gave him $5. He said, give me a couple bucks. I gave him $5 because, you know, obviously the main thing he did for me was take me a long fucking distance into Colorado. So I don't care that the weed wasn't that good or shaky. But he showed up, you know. I was surprised, you know. He was a man of his word. This guy was a little crazy. He actually told me a story on the way that he was smoking some Andromeda or something. It was like meth and weed to combine. And he decides to go and steal a plane because he used to be a locksmith and he can open locks into the airport. And he was going to go steal a Cessna plane and fly it, and he was going to fly it to his friends. He said, light up 2 trash can barrels on fire and I'm going to land this thing. And he literally gets in the plane. And, you know, he says that he's did the flight simulator or something and everything was good. And so he's like pulling back on the thing and it's like revving up, but he's not going anywhere. So he hits this other lever, and the plane just nosedives right into the ground and crashes, and he fucks up his shoulder real bad, and it's like the plane's on fire, and then he runs to you know, Safeway and gets out of there, and nobody knows who did it. That was his story. I don't know if that happened or what. That was his story. But so this guy's kind of a crazy character. And I was I wasn't sure about him for sure, but he was totally nice the whole way. He said he's made mistakes, and he said when things go well for him, he seems to sabotage himself. And I think that I understand that. It's kind of a natural psychological thing for humans. But I think I had that a little bit too as well. But so he got me in Colorado Springs. I found a place to sleep right there by the McDonald's, and I tried to sleep. It was cold. I don't have much gear. And I ended up waking up at 3:30 in the morning, just shivering, and I was like, I can't do this. I just packed my little bag and just started walking, just walked around, went to McDonald's again, got on the Wi-Fi for a little bit, found out there was a Goodwill down the street, decided to go over there and find a blanket or something. And then about 5 in the morning, I went back to sleep, tried to, and I think I got ended up getting a couple more hours. And so then I went to McDonald's in the morning and started doing a ton of research. Got 3 cups of coffee this morning, doing tons of research, trying to figure out what the hell am I going to do, where am I going to find work, where should I go, is Colorado Springs right, should I go to Denver, should I go to Fort Collins? And so I'm just going to save you all the trouble. Long story short, I'm going to Grand Rapids, West Side. I've heard multiple people, some online and some in person, tell me there's lots of work out there and it's a great place to be, Western Colorado. And Eastern Colorado, right here where I'm at, the front side, it's just real populated and a lot of craziness. Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not great. And I like to avoid the big cities. So my plan now is to hitch to Grand Junction, Colorado, which is the western side, and then look for work. And it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I'm going to be hitching through the Colorado Rockies. You can see the Colorado Rockies almost from here, and I would show you, but I just happen to be in a place that is totally forested right here, and you can't see them. But it's beautiful. It's, you know, I took the city bus today all through Colorado Springs, which is just in a crazy place, super diverse, all sorts of people, hippies, cool black people and stuff, and just all sorts of just awesome, weird people. There's all sorts of weird, awesome, creative, unique. And unique is the right word. People, everybody's unique, and just you know, I've heard this place can be dangerous in certain parts and avoid certain parts and stuff, but I always hear that about everywhere you go. But it seemed like it was fun to just take a city bus. I took 3 different buses all the way through the city and got to Manitoba Springs, where I'm at. Because Manitoba Springs, there is a recreational dispensary, not in Colorado Springs. And so this one, and they know they're the only recreational dispensary nearby. And the mountains are just right there. Pike Peak is right up here. You can see it if there weren't the trees in the way. And I would show you, but I can't show you right now. I'll show you later. Check out my next videos. I'll be going through Colorado, and I'll be. I got a few minutes left. I got to make this fast. And yeah, I'll be showing you all that footage. And yeah, and then I got a couple beers. Literally walked across the street and just came down here, and there's a nice little chill spot. A couple of deer just walked up, like a mother and a little Bambi, and the mother didn't even seem scared of me. There was a deer last night I walked right past, wasn't even scared of me, or just a little bit scared of me, but wasn't that scared. And that's where I'm at today. And so now I'm gonna finish my two Old Englishes in my bowl. I got me some water. I don't have any food, and I'm gonna hop on this Highway 24 and just take off into the Colorado Rockies like a total idiot. I don't even care. Although I'm experienced, so this is a challenge. I think I'm okay. I know the weather should be sunny. You know, if it rained, that would be horrible, because I'm going up in elevation. It's gonna be cold. I don't have much gear. I would like to show you my gear, and I was planned on doing so, but I'm running out of time. But I'll just do that on another video. And I'm gonna try to make my way to Grand Junction. Now, what I've heard is Colorado is super easy to hitch, and I think it will be. I feel pretty confident, and I think it's gonna be fun and just an amazing ride all the way through. I'll try to do videos as much as possible. You know, I only have so much battery life and storage. I'm almost totally out of storage. I'll do the best I can. All right, everybody, thanks a lot. Hobo Mackie out.